Christine. All right, keep going. Okay. Sorry. All right, so some big inhales, some exhales. Nice and slow. All right, and then in and out. Open your chest, spread your wings. Exhale, round your spine, chin to chest. One more time, hands straight out. And then bring your palms together and just pay attention. Keep up with this slow, steady breath as best as you can through the whole practice. See if you can attune to this slow exhale as we go. Some intention here. Relax your hands and let's find our way to our back. So as you stretch out and lengthen on the ground, you see what it feels like to just have this open, hearted expansion. Arms overhead, the side ribs of your body get to open a little bit. So maybe the right side and maybe the left side, and just enjoy the simple act of stretching your body, however deep you want to go into those side angles, following your breath. Then bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying. Maybe some circles if it feels nice. And remember, you don't have to warm up the same way I choose to. Maybe something along this warm up is like, oh, that's not so perfect for my body. And you create your own. So always create, a little bit of your own pathways through your practice, paying attention to what feels good. So try all three directions of the knees circling, one direction, the other direction, and then knees apart. Just bring them back in and finding your hip joints a little bit. Find your way to a happy baby. Be very gentle with this. This is a big pose this early, so you can rock a little bit, swaying from side to side, feeling the back open up a little bit. Drop your knees toward the ground. And then hang on to your legs somewhere and come out like a V. Maybe you can reach your toes. Maybe you're holding behind your knees, but your legs are going to come straight and wide. Long spine here. And then back in toward a happy baby pose. Release the left leg, hug onto the right knee, draw it in toward your chest, and let's wiggle your toes a little bit, rolling around in your ankles, feeling a good squeeze across your knee. Right, and then switch sides, left knee in, right leg long on the ground. Keep moving your feet, say hi to your ankles. See if you can get into all the little joints. Head is heavy. And then starfish your body out, reaching wide and big. And as your exhale comes, draw your knees into your chest and pull your head up. Twice more, feeling big and open and spacious. And as you exhale, feeling snug up and tucked in. One more time. Enjoy all the space for breath. Exhale, drawing it in. Arms straight out like a T, feet on the ground, windshield wiper your knees. Let's just start to get the spine to feel into the twists. Notice your breath. All right, and then we're going to roll over onto our left side, palms together, knees together, bend your knees. And then we'll open up like a book. Bring that arm behind you, turn your head, and then exhale and bring your hand back to touch. And you can feel the knees slide apart and the shoulder drop down. Maybe you like that variation. Maybe you like to glue your knees together and really let the pose land in your thoracic spine. Both are healthy and good, so just find a little bit of freedom as you move here, opening up that thoracic spine. And then we're going to swing open over to the other side. Palms together to start. And let's open up. Again, you can let your knees slide if you want. You can keep your knees together. You can find a couple of passes. I'm moving a little faster than my breath right now. Maybe you want to move with your breath. Just see if you can maintain that steady, beautiful breathing as you go. And then one more time, stretching out like a star on the ground, and then draw your knees into your chest, head comes up, and let's roll to your side. As you come onto all fours, we've already warmed up our spine a little bit, but let's just feel into the fullness of the cat and the cow. And as you move into these variations of warming up the spine, take notice of all the interaction your shoulder blades have with your rib cage and your vertebrae. I mean, shoulder blades aren't going to touch your vertebrae, but they certainly move toward and away. And anything you want to do with your spine, with your head, move freely. And then we'll do some very specific rib cage rolling. So put yourself inside that tube. You can go with me or the other direction, whichever feels better for you. Ribs out to the side, then down toward the ground, and ribs out to the other side and up. And just feel that you can try to really mobilize your rib cage here. Of course, your thoracic spine is going to get nice and juicy too. Lots of blood flow, lots of mobility and fluid moving into your vertebrae, your discs, also your lungs. So don't underestimate what's happening in the visceral body when you move. Go the other direction if you haven't. All right. And then find all fours, recommit to your hands, and we're going to draw the shoulder blades together and then push the floor away and protract your shoulder blades. Draw the shoulder blades together and then protract. All right, walk the hands forward, puppy pose, hips stay high. Drop your thoracic spine toward the ground. Open up through your ribs, feel your femur bones draw back. Full breaths here. And come back onto all fours. Let's shift the hips all the way over to one side. Just go as far over as they can go. And hang out there like a sail all the way out to the side of the boat. And then come back and shift your hips all the way over to the other side. Come back to center. Child's pose. Settle your hips down. Walk the hands forward. Feel that length through your shoulders. Drop some weight into your sit bones. Feel the compression in your hips. Let's walk the hands over to one side or the other so that we're really opening the full side body. Now grip your finger pads. Feel that anchoring and then drop length and weight down into your sit bone. Feeling that whole side open, open up. Back to center, over to the other side, dropping some weight, feeling that side body stretch free. Keep the base of your skull relaxed, ground through your finger pads. Feel your breath. Come back to center. Grab your two blocks, put them long ways so the short edges are touching. Make a train with them. Put your elbows on the blocks, drop back toward your hips again, thumbs toward your spine, opening up your triceps for a good stretch. It's very easy to collapse and drop your armpits, lift under your armpits and reach your shoulders toward your hips, thumbs down. Anchor your elbow points and lengthen through your triceps. And then come back up onto all fours one last time. Let's reach the left arm up in the air. Exhale, slide that shoulder down, finding a twist here, breathing deeply. And then when we come out halfway. So you're facing the ground with your chest. Your arm is still underneath you, and just stretch the back side of that shoulder. Relax the front of your shoulder. Drop your hips down toward the heels like child's pose. And inhale and lift that arm back up in the air. Hand down onto the ground. Let's switch. Arm lifting up. Exhale, thread the needle on this side. Dropping some weight. Breathing into those ribs. Press a little bit with your other hand so that you have some anchoring. Let your breath be the massage for the rib cage. And as you come out a little bit, halfway, keep the arm underneath you. Widen across your collarbones. Relax the front of your shoulder. Inhale. Reach that arm all the way back up in the air. Hand comes down. Find a dog pose. All right, let's invite the legs into the process. Let's pedal your feet. Dropping one heel, bending the other knee. Dropping the other heel, bending the other knee. Just get your legs to open up and feel how good it feels to move through your feet and your ankles and your calves. And then when you feel ready, a fullness here, heart lifting toward your hips. Drop weight into the index finger mound. See if you can feel that broadening across your hands, the broadening across your toe beds. Reach downward and eyes upward. Full breaths. Walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana, folding deeply. Inhale for a halfway lift, growing a little longer in your spine. Let's continue to pedal your feet here, dropping one hip back, dropping the other hip back, getting a little bit of length in the outer hips. And then stillness. Bend your knees, spread open the bones of your feet, drop your head. Push off your feet, rise all the way up, bring the arms to the sky. Open up a little bit of a back bend here, and let's cactus. Open the arms, spread your wings. Reach them all the way up again, and this time arms out to the sides, palms pressing walls away next to you. Spread your fingers, finger tops pointing up toward the sky. Let's do a few backward circles. Just feeling a little stretch across the front of your shoulders, a little engagement of your shoulder blades. Feel your core stabilize you. Be mindful to not take this in your neck. Change directions with your arms. Okay, and then up one more time, and then exhale and float forward. Shimmy your spine, your hips. Inhale for a halfway lift. Long length. Exhale, melt and fold. Step your left foot back. Let's come to a plank, or not a plank, to a lunge here. Ground your feet, open your heart, and let's start to find that breath again. Are we paying attention to those long exhales as best as you can? Whenever you remember, whenever you can insert that awareness, great. We're going to work a little bit with the breath toward the end of our practice. We'll do some breath work today. So let's just prepare our bodies to receive. We are, preparing. It's like inviting the breath as a guest. We're preparing our house. Ground yourself for your lunge. Feel your roots. Come on up, crescent, reaching the arms up, maybe a little bit of a back bend here, just the smidgiest of bits. Try not to compress your low back. And then let's cactus open and feel the heart spread. And then press your hands like we just did out to the sides. Integrate floating ribs to the body, round into your feet. Let's have a big swing of the arms and then bring them up, and we'll twist to the side. So turning right. We'll take exalted warrior. So if you can, take your right hand behind you onto your left thigh and then reach the left arm up, up, up. And if this is too challenging, too deep, put your hand on your hip instead. Feel the length through your spine. Okay. Back to a crescent lunge. Hands down onto the ground. Back foot comes forward. Fold deeply. Relax your neck. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt again. Take your hands to the base of your skull. Heels of your hands, a little bit of weight on the base of your skull. Drop it down toward the ground. And a teeny bit of a tuck in toward chin toward chest. And then release the hands. A halfway lift again. Melt and fold. Let's step the left foot in front, right foot behind. Feel that opening lunge in your legs. Let's go ahead and bend and straighten again, finding that nice slow rhythm of our breathing. We're in our bodies, we're in our breath. We're giving ourselves an opportunity to practice mindfulness, practice presence. If there's anything that gets us to slow down from reaction to action, it's our breath and it's our presence. So if you know you struggle in some area of your life of making those judgments very quickly and not being comfortable living in the gray instead of wanting everything to be black or white, see if you can practice the presence of your body here. It will give you tools to use later. Ground yourself. When you feel ready, reaching upward, feeling that length. Open up through the heart. A little back bend if it's nice for your body. Always modifying everything as you need. Arms out to the sides. Press the walls away. Take your whole arm back. Both of them back just a little bit. Stretch across the very specific muscles in your biceps and your hands and your heart. And a couple of circles here. And we'll lift your arms up again. And if it feels comfortable, twist to the side. Find that stability. We're turning left. When you're ready, if you'd like to, bring your left hand to the right leg and reach up. Or you can keep your hand on the hip. Hug to the midline. Find your stability. Breathing deeply. And then exhale back to center. Hands come down onto the ground. Dog pose. Enjoy the symmetry here. Take a pause to find that breath again. The long, steady inhales, the even longer exhales. Let's come forward into a plank, holding that sense of stability and sturdiness. Notice your breath now. Where is it going? You feel your armpits expand, the side ribs expand. And you can put your knees down to help you find the floor. A couple of shoulder rolls. Let's find a Cobra pose when you feel ready. Opening up the front of the body. Exhale and release down. Arms out wide like a V. So a V Cobra now. Lengthening, hands around the ground, stretch through your belly, your legs. Exhale and release. Third one, we're gonna lift off the ground. So come back to Cobra arms. Elbows reach back toward the wall behind you. Inhale and lift up your hands. Feel the back muscles engage. Drop the shoulder blades down, engage your core to support, neck is long. On your next breath out, melt toward the floor. Come up onto all fours, wag your tail. All right, so kind of circling, swishing, swaying that feels nice. We're going to come right onto our back when you feel ready for it. We're going to do a couple of bridge poses, mostly to think about opening up our chest and shoulders. So round the four corners of your feet. Let's just do a couple of rolling through this with breath before we stay. So arms can move. Inhale, pelvis up, arms overhead. And then exhale, arms down, pelvis down. Okay, one more time, arms up, hips high. Exhale, arms down, hips down. All right, we're going to come up to a full bridge. So climb to the tops of your shoulders as best as you can. Maybe turn your palms up toward the sky. Maybe your arms interlace underneath you. I have my arms just pressing down into the ground all the way to my hands. Root into the four corners of your feet. Open across your heart and breathe. Press into the big toe mounds a little bit more. Lower your pelvis back down. Relax for a minute. We're going to do some dynamic movements within this. We're going to start with our feet just a teeny bit wider than hip width apart. So a little bit of an unusual movement pattern. So just enough wider where you really feel stable and grounded with your feet. Inhale, lift up through your pelvis. And we're going to open our knees a little bit wider and then bring them back to neutral and press the big toe mounds in. Open up a little bit out. You can let your toe mounds lift just a little bit and then ground the toe mounds, knees back to neutral. One more time, opening the hips or knees wide, bring them back to neutral, and then lower your pelvis back down. We're going to do that exact same thing with our feet more narrow. And this is, a little less stable. So you don't have to bring your feet together, but just maybe a teeny bit narrower than your normal stance. Inhale, lift up your pelvis, open chest. Knees come wide, bring them back to neutral. Knees come wide and bring them back to neutral. Just kind of waking our hips up in different ways. Knees come wide and bring them back to neutral. And lower your pelvis back down. Have a breath here on the ground. Full inhale, a full exhale. So, take a deep twist here. So we're going to straighten our left leg, bring our right knee into our chest. We're going to cross the right knee over to the left and stretch open through the right side of your chest. Be mindful of how deep you go in this pose. It's a big twist. Let your chest be broad and free. Back to center. Switching sides. Right leg long, left knee bent. Draw your left knee over to the right. Make sure your back is in a good, healthy place. You don't want to go too deep where your spine is really feeling the impact of this pose. Let your spine be happily engaged. Full breaths. Stretching across your heart, your chest. And come back to center. Stretch your limbs wide on the ground. Let's roll your wrists and roll your ankles. Maybe open and close your fists. Maybe wiggle your toes. And then on your next exhale, knees draw in toward your chest. Pick up your head. Relax your head down. Roll to your side. Come up into dog pose. Hands come wide, spreading your fingers. Curl the toes under, ground yourself. Full breaths here. Let your side bodies open to your breathing. And come on to our knees. Bring your right shin onto the ground, left leg out to the side. We're going to bring a block underneath our right hand and find a Vasisthasana that's supported with a block. So you're pretty elevated here. Extend through that entire right side of your body. Open up the breath. Other side, hand on a block, leg stretches straight. Your shin is pressing into the ground. Open up into that side stretch. Come back onto your knees and find a child's pose. Breathe all the way through your spine. Take our forearms to the mat and lift up to a forearm dog pose. So dolphin pose. Lengthen upward, reaching your heart toward your pelvis. Engage the muscles in your back. Your shoulder blades are firm. Your forearms are pressing. Breathing well. All right, let's walk this back to a forearm plank. Feeling that sturdy steadiness in your rib cage again. Core is engaged strongly. Inner thighs have a little bit of a lift. Stretch through your heels. And now rock on your toes forward just a little bit and then back just a little bit. Forward and back. And find the ground. Sphinx pose. Arms are still in that forearm position. Open up across your chest. And then melt your hands onto the ground. Pick up your feet and windshield wiper your knees, left and right. All right, we're going to grab onto the left foot with the left hand. Engage through your quad or through your tail so that you're lengthening and your pelvis is stable, opening up your quad. And now you have a choice. You can bring the other arm in front of you and lift up a little bit. You can bring it a little closer in and lift up a bit. You can be down on the ground. You can have your forearm across the mat and lift up a little bit. So just find the amount of engagement you'd like to have. Tailbone toward the knee, pubic bone toward the navel. Stretch through your quad. All right, now to engage your shoulder a little bit more, this is tricky for some people. You might be having your hand on the top of your foot with your fingers pointing toward your knee. And we're going to turn our hand the other way so that your fingers point toward your shoulder instead, which will change the shape of your shoulder. Relax, and we'll switch sides. Grab onto your right foot, tailbone descends. So really protect your back here. Especially when we come up a little farther. See if you can really pay attention to how your back is responding. So you can stay low, you can even put your head down on the ground and really isolate this in your quadricep, or you can come a little higher. Your choice. As we come in to this turn, so your elbow is going to tip into a bend. So you're not going to have your elbow straight for this as you turn your fingers forward toward your face. And then relax. Come up onto all fours. Let's release the back bends from our body. Wag your tail, move your spine, do some rib cage rolling, do some cat cows. What feels good? And eventually, we're all going to find a child's pose, finding a sense of ease here. Shoulders softening. Open up your back. Maybe a dog pose is in order if you still feel like you need a little extension through your spine. Before we come into this next pose, just check in with your back. Is your back okay? Do you need any little something to kind of find neutral again? A twist might be helpful if you need a little support in that. And we're going to come into heart bench. So one block in between your shoulder blades. If you're short, you can have a block this way. If you're tall, you can have it this way. If you're somewhere in the middle, kind of just make a decision for yourself. And if it's very bumpy, if you don't like the feeling of the blocks underneath you, you could take, like one edge of a blanket on there just to give you a little bit of softness so it's not so abrupt on your back. And we're going to come into heart bench. Okay. So you decide how you want your back to be. Make sure when you come into this pose that you feel good, that your back is like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I want. So you might need to adjust and bring the block a little closer toward your head, the block on your back a little closer toward your head or a little further. You can have your knees bent or you can have your knees straight. You can do lots of things with your legs, really. You can also do Supine legs if you'd like. And then have a moment to, if you'd like, to interlace your arms, so hands on elbows. Stretch your arms overhead if this feels nice to your body, or you could cactus your arms, or have a little T out to the sides. So just have a moment to just experience a stretch here before we experience some more subtlety in this pose. First, just enjoy. This is such a happy thing for your chest, for your breathing. Have all this space to experiment with what arm positions that feel good for your body. When you feel ready to kind of shift your awareness from a deep stretch to more of our breathing, you can take your arms in either down at your sides, which is probably the most neutral, or out to a T or somewhere in between, like 45 degrees. So find a good arm position for you where the heads of the arms can fall, where your legs can feel like they have their full weight, where you don't have to restrict or guard or hold. You can really begin to surrender. Any adjustments that you need with the blocks, go ahead and do. And once your body feels settled, melt your skull into the block. Get a lot of weight. And let's start to just experience a beautiful breath. that fullness of your breath as you settle. Your breath may shrink just a little bit, so you can be conscious to keep it full and free. Feel ready. We're gonna bring ourselves out of this pose by rolling to your side and pause there for a moment. Bend your knees, bend your hips. Breathe into the back of your spine. And then to counter this pose, come towards child's pose. We're going to cross our arms in front of us and just come down to child's pose with your arms crossed. Keep breathing into the back body. And then change the cross of your arms, arm on top. Before we lie down for Shavasana, sit in Sukhasana or Virasana for a moment. Get up on the edge of something if you need. And let's just have a moment to breathe. All the echoing of the postures that you've done to keep your heart open. See if their imprint is still living in you, if it's your posture is a little easier to come by. A full breath in. A complete breath out. beautiful breath down into Shavasana. Notice if your mind feels calm as you lie down in whatever way is comfortable for you. Take any support you need, any posture you need. And as you allow yourself to melt into the ground, and feel free to bring your knees in for a moment if you need it. You can even put a lot of support under your legs. See if you can melt your whole body. So we're no longer in a back bend, but we are in this sense of space, spaciousness for your breath. So let that live in your Shavasana. When you feel ready, find your breath again. And on your next exhale, let your body melt into the floor. See if you can enjoy the time of the exhale. Letting it stretch out where nothing needs to be decided, nothing needs to be done. No judgments need to be made. No thoughts need to coalesce. It's just the freedom of letting go. Move your body safely, nourish yourself in movement and however you need to transition. To find your way to a seated posture, slowly take your time, move as slow as you like. Get up there, notice what your practice has given you. What is your state of being right now? You have a little more capacity to see clearly, open mindedly. Give yourself that pause between an impulse and a reaction. And let's take this energy into the day, into all of our tasks, all of our interactions, all of our thinking. Bring your palms to your heart. Offer the gifts of your practice to another. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.